hello, everyone. Welcome to Rick Sports Talk, your home for all the latest and greatest world of sports. And we have breaking news that will impact one of the NFL Red franchise in the New York Giants, the NFL Draft, and more. Again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of our latest content, including a bunch of stuff on the NFL Draft. If you want to jump to the front of the line, use that super chat feature. And Giants fans, if we make $10 in super chat donations tonight, I will be unveiling a 7-round mock draft for the Giants on Monday. And again, that's all changed because the breaking news, the Giants have their quarterback as they have signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year contract, according to Adam Schefter, $21 million, 10.5 guaranteed for 1 year, just days after signing Jameis Winston, and basically 24 hours after the Sanders camp said they really want to be in New York. And less than 24 hours later, the Giants seemingly have said, yeah, we're good. There is a lot to break down on this, how this impacts the short term for the Giants, how this impacts the long term, and how it impacts them with the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. And again, make sure to like and subscribe if you're a Giant fan. Make sure to share on social media. We will be bringing you all the latest. But of course, this is huge news for the Giants because they seemingly now have their starting quarterback, their backup quarterback, and have given themselves some leeway. So let's start off with the immediate picture. Let's start off with the here and the now. Russell Wilson being selected by the Giants. And this, to me, has been a good week for Joe Schoen because last year, the Giants suffered a very disheartening lesson. If you wait in free agency too long, you could get burned. They waited too long, and their last option was Drew Lock, and we saw how that turned out. They were waiting to play the game with Aaron Rodgers. But like a lot of teams, like seemingly the Vikings and everyone else, eventually they needed to get an answer. They needed to move forward. And was Russell Wilson the favorite option for this team? No. It was clearly Aaron Rodgers. But you got the sense through the last month and a half of this courtship of Aaron Rodgers that it has been a very one-sided relationship. That the Giants really would love Aaron Rodgers to come and be their quarterback. Meanwhile, on the other side, it was Rodgers is intrigued, but doesn't really seem fully invested. And I can understand why. At this point in his career, the only argument that made any sense to me about Rodgers staying with the Giants was he lived in New Jersey and he has a house there. But if you're Aaron Rodgers and the last 2 years in New York have gone terribly with the Jets, and I understand the Giants are a different organization, you want to try to make one last run. And as where the Giants are, they're clearly not ready to make that run. I thought that they are more intriguing now for fit-wise. Do the Giants have more toys in the toy box for Aaron Rodgers, especially on the offensive side, than Pittsburgh, who seemingly is the flirtatious partner right now? Yes. But at the end of the day, I think the Giants realized if they kept playing this game, they could lose out on Russell Wilson, who's clearly their B plan here. They could lose out. And they just got the sense that Aaron Rodgers was not going to be, at the end of the day, a New York Giant. So they pivoted and they go to Russell Wilson. Now, again, is this a move that I think is going to really excite the fan base? Is it going to thrill the fan base? Does the fan base think this makes them a playoff team? I don't think so. But the thing is, Russell Wilson at least gives you some competency at quarterback. Going into this season with Jameis Winston, I think could have been intriguing and exciting. But at least now you have someone to compete with him. Now, granted, with the money he's getting, it's clear Russell Wilson is going to be this team's starting quarterback week 1. But if we see that Russell Wilson doesn't have that mobility or is showing the signs of being a 36-year-old, then I could be a short lease to Jameis Winston. So at least the Giants have some options now in the quarterback room where just a week ago it was just Tommy DeVito and a bunch of folding chairs. So I give the Giants credit for hedging their bets and getting a quarterback. Do I love Russell Wilson? No. Do I think you can be a functioning offense with Russell Wilson? Sure. But here's the biggest thing I take away from all of this, which is this has been a polarizing draft class. I've talked about it on this channel for months. And what you get from people is if you want a quarterback, this is not the year to need a quarterback. Now, it seems like Cam Ward is likely going to be the first pick, but the Giants at 3, the question then became, did they have to trade up to Shedeur at 2? How much did they like Shedeur? Well, I think the Giants have told you with this move what they think. Does this, again, take them completely out of drafting a quarterback at 3? No, but it does give this franchise some much-needed options. If Russell Wilson was not brought in, you almost were forced to take a quarterback at number 3. And now at least it gives this team some intriguing options. Option number 1 is they still take, let's say, Shedeur Sanders at number 3 to sit behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Now, again, they've invested a lot of capital in the quarterback position in this offseason, but at least you have is seemingly an established order and a plan. But seeing how much they've invested now, $21 million in Russell Wilson, about $5 million in Jameis Winston, almost $26 million at the quarterback position, it tells me that they don't love this class. They like these quarterbacks, but there's no one in this draft that they love, especially at the number 3 pick. But what intrigues me about this move, and why, if you're a Giant fan, I think you have to be excited about this move and appreciate it, is the following. It gives this team a lot more flexibility. 24 hours ago, they had to take a quarterback at 3 because you can't go into a season with Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito. Now at 3, the Giants have some options. They can stay at 3 and pick the best player. They can pick potentially Abdul Carter, the best pass rusher in this draft. They can take Travis Hunter, who's the best receiver and also a dynamic corner in this draft at number 3. And it gives them some intriguing options. The other option, too, is it allows this team to trade back. Maybe there isn't a guy they love in the top 3, but they can use the Patriots to get a lot of value. Let's say, for example, the Patriots really want Travis Hunter at 4. But there's a team behind them that also really would covet Travis Hunter. Now the Giants could trade back, get a couple of assets, be able to stay in the top 10, maybe even get assets for next year's draft, which would help them potentially draft a quarterback. Now, again, this regime needs to win, so I don't think they're going to be just getting picks for next year just to help the next regime. But it gives this front office a chance to be flexible. It allows them to draft potentially the best player available at number 3, trade back and get assets. But the other option too, which is also very intriguing, is getting a quarterback later. Maybe they have done their homework and have decided, we don't like Shedeur at number 3. It's just too high. But maybe there's someone, if they fell in round 1, like a Jackson Dart, for example, if he's sitting there in the 20s, don't forget the Giants own the 34th pick in the draft. In the second round. It is very feasible that the Giants could trade up from 34 to get a quarterback in the back end of the first round and still be able to come out of this draft with a dynamic playmaker in the top 5 and also getting a developmental quarterback. Who knows? Maybe the Giants also view this as a developmental draft. Maybe they see someone in round 2 that they like at 34, maybe in round 3 that they like. This gives them more options where they just had to take a quarterback at 3. But it goes back to the bigger point. These teams are telling you they don't love the quarterbacks. Think about last year in the Hard Knocks episode. We saw the Giants go to the Patriots and basically just ask, what's it going to take to get the 3rd pick for the 3rd best quarterback in the draft? And basically the Patriots said, kick rocks, because unless you give us a Godfather offer, we're not moving. This year, it's the opposite. If any team really loved Cam Ward and gave the Titans an unbelievable offer, I do think the Titans would trade out number 1. But the Titans are going to look at it and probably go, look, he's the best quarterback in this draft. We're probably not going to get a chance to do this. It resets the contracts. We're just going to take Cam Ward at number 1. The Giants at 3 are in a different spot, because you are now with a regime that is on the chopping block. They've been told by this front office and their owner that basically, if it doesn't go well this year, they're gone. So bringing in Russell Wilson gives you probably the best option outside of Aaron Rodgers in the short term, but it also allows you a potential bridge quarterback so you don't have to rush a rookie quarterback out there. Now, again, does this completely take Shedeur Sanders out off the board? No. But I do find it interesting where the day basically after the Sanders camp said how much they would love to be in New York and how much they would love to be a part of the Giants family, the Giants sign a quarterback for starting quarterback money. Now, I will again say this. I don't think it completely rules out Sanders. Maybe the Giants look at it as a situation where the buzz we're getting, no one really loves him. Maybe we can do a swap, get back into the late first round, like let's say late top 10, get back to 8, 9, or 10. Someone really loves Travis Hunter. We get more assets, and we feel that we can get Shedeur later down in the first round and still be able to walk away with the quarterback, but then say, hey, we got some key assets for it. Or they could look at it and go, we could get the most dynamic receiver / corner in this draft and pair him with Malik Nabers. We can get arguably the best pass rusher in this draft. And that gives you options too. Like there's a world where now if he's there at 3, and it's not a guarantee because Cleveland could take Abdul Carter at number 2. There's a possibility where Abdul Carter is available. You draft him, you pair him with Burns, and now all of a sudden with Kayvon Thibodeau, a guy this regime seems a little lukewarm on, maybe he becomes a key asset. Maybe he becomes an asset in order to add a piece to this team. Maybe another playmaker on the offense, maybe another offensive lineman, maybe a key draft pick. Because again, if you're not going to invest in him long-term and you bring in Abdul Carter, it gives you the option to move off of Kayvon Thibodeau. Like here's a scenario. You like a quarterback in the 20s. Kayvon Thibodeau could be a key piece in getting it. Maybe it costs you instead of the second round 34th pick, maybe it costs you Kayvon a third and an extra piece, but you're able to keep pick 34. And you hope that a great first round talent from this draft falls to you at 34. And you also look at this quarterback class. Maybe the Giants have looked and said, there really isn't that much difference between Shedeur and the 3, 4, and 5 quarterbacks in this draft. And if it's that minuscule of a distance, maybe the Giants are going to say, why, if it's this distance and we can get these guys in round pick 34, why are we using that pick at number 3 to take Shedeur? And again, I feel bad for the kid because I feel Shedeur has taken a lot of shrapnel, but the problem is he's just at this point not that great of a prospect. I don't think he is an intriguing prospect in terms for the Giants, and also it allows the Giants to have flexibility. The biggest thing you don't want to happen when you enter an NFL draft is feel like you are trapped and feel like your need is so glaring that a team can take advantage of you. Like, here's an example. I don't think this was going to happen in this draft, but a scenario I could have easily seen is what if there's a sleeper team for Shedeur that we haven't been talking about? Like, is there a team, like, I don't know, maybe the Saints? I'm just throwing a team out there. I don't really think there's much interest, but I'm just throwing an example. And they look at Cleveland, number 2, and Cleveland's like, we like Abdul Carter. But we'd rather have the picks. We'll move down, and a team knows the Giants are going to take Shedeur, but they like Shedeur just as much, so they get in front of the Giants at 3. I think a great example was in the 2023 draft of the New York Jets. Everyone knew they wanted a left tackle. Everyone knew they wanted Broderick Jones, and the Patriots, who are 14, knew that, and they said, okay, we'll trade with the Steelers, who know that they want to tackle. So now at least it gives the Giants flexibility where I don't think they can be bullied. And now they have some bargaining room with the Patriots because now you have the Patriots at number 4. And what this allows you to do when you are the New York Giants is allows you to play the field. If a team falls in love with Travis Hunter, and it seems like most mocks are having Travis Hunter go 4 to the Patriots. If there's a team like, let's say the Panthers at 8, they want to get a great receiver to try and figure out their quarterback position. Maybe, let's use an example, maybe the Jets at 7 just never thought Travis Hunter could be on their radar. I don't think they would trade up. I'm just throwing out from 7 to move up from 3 to 7. Plus, I don't think the Giants would do it. But here's a good one. The Raiders at 6. The Raiders have a lot of dynamic weapons, But again, they want to make it a show. They want to be dynamic. They have to compete with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. What if the Raiders called up the Giants and said at number 3, we'll swap you get to 6 and we'll give you a really good pick. And you know what? We'll give you a good pick next year. If this franchise is confident, this coaching staff is confident they're going to be back, you take that deal and you still could get a good player. You could get a good offensive lineman. You could get a good tight end. You could get a good dynamic defensive player at pick number 6. And meanwhile, move back and gain assets. Who knows? There's a scenario you drop back to 6 and you like Shedeur a lot better at 6 than 3. And you take Shedeur for a little bit less money. You're able to still get your quarterback, but you gained assets out of it and you can be aggressive. So what the Giants have done here, which is something I don't think that they've done really well, is they've given themselves options. They've given themselves a whole view of the board. Now, granted, do I think Russell Wilson gives them a shot to make the playoffs? No. If you had to ask me right now, I think the Giants have the 4th best quarterback with Russell Wilson in this division. I still think I would take Dak over Russell Wilson at this point in his career because I think Russell Wilson is fading. But it does give them someone that can at least run the offense and keep this team treading water. It can help them tread water, especially if they add a weapon. If they add a great offensive weapon, if they can continue to build out this roster, it could be an intriguing possibility. So again, the breaking news, Russell Wilson, $21.5 million. It looks like it's going to be 10.5 guaranteed. I give the Giants a lot of credit for making this move. It was a smart investment. And it really tells me a couple of things. Number one, they've gotten the message loud and clear. Aaron Rodgers wasn't coming here. Number 2, I think it tells you that they like the quarterbacks in this draft potentially, but there isn't one that they love and that they feel is a bona fide franchise quarterback that can start for them early next season. There might be a guy like Shedeur that they like, but they're like, look, he's got to sit for at least 7 or 8 games. This allows us with Jameis in front of him. This allows us with Russell in front of him to at least ease them into the process. But that is the breaking news. Russell Wilson is with the New York Giants. So Giants country, let's ride. Again, guys, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content here on Rich Sports Talk. We'll have more breaking news from around the NFL and, of course, more great stories. And if you want more mock draft content, make sure to comment below. Give us a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. But until next time, I'm your host, Nolan Rich, and this is Rich Sports Talk. Thank you so much for joining us.